So, good evening, everyone. My name is Gabriel. Today, I'm going to be talking to you guys about plastic pollution and how it's destroying our oceans. To begin with, I want you guys to visualize yourself waking up one morning. You know, you're walking along the coast, and along that coast, you see dead marine life. You see plastic pollution everywhere. You see a thick, nasty chemical film along the shore. That image, that seed I just planted into your mind, is something that's happening as we speak, and it's only going to get worse because it's so detrimental to our society and the environment. And it's sad because 70% of our oceans are literally 70% of our planet is literally covered by the ocean, you know, and 50% of the air that we breathe comes from the ocean through photosynthesis, through the marine life like corals and seaweed or whatever. And you know, our ocean is a part of our sustainability to life. You know, we get our fish, you know, the ocean supports billions of people and billions of animals. So that's why we must protect our oceans. And protecting our ocean is not optional. It's something that we must do, something that we must urgently respond to. And it takes it takes a community, it takes a collective of people. It involves the government, it involves individual people, and it involves industries taking accountability for what they have done. So the question today is, should the government enforce stricter laws to be enacted to reduce plastic pollution in oceans? And I believe that to be true. I believe they should do that because the ocean is vital to human sustainability, but human activities, human life is literally destroying the marine life as we speak, because plastic pollution kills like over millions of sea life and marine life every year, and every day something is dying in the ocean, I'm sure, because of plastic. And I want you to look at that Great Pacific garbage patch for an example. That garbage patch is literally the size of Texas. It is a huge garbage patch. It's like so big, and it's just full of trash everywhere, and it's very, very detrimental to our oceanic ecosystems. And currently, plastic has affected all major oceans on Earth. I mean, from way up to the North Pole down to the South Pole. So this is why we should, you know, work together as a whole, as a collective of people, to put an end to this plastic destruction. And is also affecting human health while destroying, you know, so many creatures on the Earth. A few possible solutions to this crisis would be the involvement of government, individual people working together, and making the industries that produce this plastic take accountability for what they've done. By the government creating laws and regulations, maybe even making sort of cap goals to how much plastic industries can make a year. Those are laws that should be set for these industries, because the industry is literally, you know, pumping out the plastic, making the plastic. And the community, the people, we should work together, because I believe there is strength in numbers. You know, people should come together and work together to fight a common goal, because, you know, it's strength really in numbers. And the battle against plastic pollution starts with identifying the source. The source of plastic pollution is the supplier to the growing multitude of plastic and marine ecosystems. And a big problem is that plastic pollution is everywhere. Without a proper mandate or solution, it's only going to grow worse and worse over time. And this is why we must urge a need for change, because 3 of my resources state that humans have altered marine ecosystems by acidification, overfishing, and dumping tons of millions of trash each year, and dumping trash every day. And there's so much more to it. It's not even just trash or dumping or overfishing. I'm talking about chemical spills and maybe ships, you know, loitering, you know, just so much more to it than just dumping trash and overfishing or acidification. It's a lot more to it. And of the 300 million tons of plastic that is being produced annually worldwide, only 30 million is recycled, and approximately 7 million tons of plastic is thrown away into the ocean each year. And that was written by the U.S. Ocean Policy. The next one Americans use an estimated about 500 million straws every day, and research indicates that only 8.3 billion plastic straws pollute our world beaches. So that just goes to show right there how many plastic straws or single-use plastics are destroying our earth. And that was written by Jane Fullerton Lemons. And the next one was researchers that found tiny plastic particles in the lungs of surgical patients, in the blood donors, and in the placentas of unborn babies. I'm gonna set a picture of what a placenta, if you don't know what that is, I'm gonna put a picture right here for you guys. And they say that plastic was likely consumed, or most likely consumed, in foods such as fish or other marine life that have ingested plastic. And because they ingested the plastic, we ate that fish, and that plastic is now in us, in our bodies. It's also in drinking water, and microplastics even in the air. You know, you could be walking down the street and plastic could just be blown in the wind, and microplastics, nanoplastics you don't even see could be entering into your body. And that was written by Robert Kinnear. Those three quotes right there, those three examples, this shows the problem that we're dealing with today, because plastic is continuously being pumped into our society and damaging the world, while the plastic industry doesn't face any type of repercussions for the things that they've done. You know, because there are no laws to stop them from doing continuously pumping or continuously polluting, there's no laws to stop them from doing it. And in the United States, there's no laws, and other parts around the world, there are no laws. This is why we must make an urge for a great change, because, you know, plastic is slowly destroying our earth as we speak. Next will be some possible solutions to the international crisis. The next, pollution is an international problem. It's something that affects the world and all its inhabitants, both animals, both land, humans, sea. It affects all creatures. This is why we must make a need for some possible solutions. And one possible solution, I believe, would be awareness. Awareness. First, we must create a greater awareness to the situation, which attacks the source. The source, I'm talking about the industries that first create the plastic and push it out into the environment, push it out to people, to the stores or whatever. Pressuring the industries online, social media, and in the public to reduce their production of plastic. By pressuring them, then they may want to reduce the plastic that they're making, or make them think twice about what they're doing. This public awareness will create a shift in the people's perception, allowing them to either boycott or reduce the need that they have for, plastic. Not many people will want to use plastic because they now see the damage that is being done because of plastic. This awareness will entice people to recycle more and find alternatives to plastic instead of constantly relying on plastic. With alternatives, that means we won't be using the plastic, and we will find different canteens like these instead of these. You know what I'm saying? So I would rather use this that I can take home and clean out every now and then, rather than just constantly using a one-use bottle of water that I'm just going to throw out the next day. You know what I'm saying? And the next, we'll be talking about legislation. Legislation, is a possible solution, because legislation constantly targeting them, without letting up, without giving up, without anything. I believe that they will listen to the people. They will give the people what they need, and they won't just say, oh, the people just talking. They're going to give the people what they want by constant pressure, constantly pressuring the legislation, attacking them. Then eventually they're going to give the people what they want, and the legislation, what they will do is create laws and regulations to the plastic industries and plastic pollution in general, by forcing them to reduce their plastic production or finding alternatives for plastic to protect our ecosystems and preserve them. Because this plastic is really destroying our earth, and they need to also make laws that makes the industries take accountability, make them help pay for some of the damage that they have done. And by doing that, that's why I believe it can help, with the whole plastic waste problem. And next will be collaboration. I believe that fighting together, building groups, coalitions, connections, organizations that help in the cleanup process, by doing that, the people, there's strength in numbers. Creating groups, there's strength in numbers that people will work together to help fight, the whole plastic pollution situation. And by collaborating with innovators and researchers like universities developing biodegradable plastics, reusable products, and refill systems instead of plastic, that'll be very beneficial to society and the ecosystem, because stuff like these, you can keep using them for years and years. And like, if you want to throw it away, this will be recycled and used again, Instead of a plastic bottle, you might use it one time, and there's a high chance that it may not even be recyclable. But you should at least try to recycle, you know what I'm saying? Although not all products will be made to be recycled, because it did say earlier today, I think it was 300 million, only 30 million is made to be recycled. So the little that is recycled, at least it is recycled, you know what I'm saying? So it's like the little that is recycled will be recycled instead of being thrown out into the environment where it's going to be destroyed, or it's going to sit there. It's not going to be destroyed, but it's going to sit there for years and years to come, and it's doing nothing but polluting and, as decomposing, maybe releasing toxins, because plastic is, is just a bunch of chemicals fused together to make what it is. And I believe that would be a great alternative rather than just, throwing it out. I would rather see some things being recycled than it being, thrown onto the environment. So I believe that's a much better alternative. Some challenge we will be facing though, I believe financial will be a great challenge, because there's tons of plastic everywhere. I mean, it's literally like up top north all the way down to the south pole. And it's going to take a very long time to, clean it all up. It's going to be very expensive and time consuming. I'm talking billions of dollars and maybe years, maybe decades to clean up. Not even decades, maybe even a whole century to completely clean up everything. And, that's going to be very time consuming and very expensive. But this is why I believe that if the American system can push the urge to make the plastic industries, to make them pay for what they do, I believe that their money that they make, it'll be able to, be beneficial to the whole cleanup process, because, that'll be a part of the whole financial situation.